Hello, and welcome to the Raising Sage Spiritual Podcast, where we delve into the transformative power of spirituality and personal growth. I'm your host, Jess, and tonight my guest is Sonia Byrne. How are you doing?
Really good. So happy to be
Ama-
here.
Amazing. I'm happy to have you with us. So I guess we'll just start maybe with a bio. You can tell us about yourself, your background, any kind of credentials or anything you feel called to share.
Sure, sure. So my name is Sonia Byrne, and I have a business called Mindful Leadership for Success. I tend to work at the intersection of business and spirituality. I've had my own business for the past 15 years and about as many years before that in corporate environments. And it was so interesting because I worked well in corporate environments and I was a bit unusual, but sort of got away with it with all the spiritual stuff
Mhm.
because it worked out really well and made sense and it led to some really good results. And then at some point I thought I need to get out on my own so that I can work with a client base more widely, not just the one employer. So in 2009, I started my own business. And in 2016, I embarked on a master's in consciousness studies. So I wanted to add this consciousness and conscious leadership concept, which was very new at the time, like 10 years ago, super new. And I found this particular program in San Diego area. And when I completed that program, and during that program, I really found that I found my group of people who were trying to also make the world better, but I also wanted to work with business people. So
Mhm.
this program allowed me to add on some education and background to what I was already doing and maybe made me make sense of some of the things that I was already working with really quite intuitively. And that has led me to have clients all around the world. And but I'm based from St. John's, Newfoundland. And I really enjoy when I get that first call or that first email, and I wonder what makes you be calling me or connecting with me today?
Yeah.
What is the issue? What's the problem? What's the thing that's going on that somebody has said, you should call her?
Yeah. Amazing. And so so you lead workshops. What else are you kind of
I
engaged
kind
in?
of think of my business in three baskets. It helps me organize it, and there's a lot going on for me. So it helps other people understand it a little better. So I do, the first basket would be consulting. I do a lot of consulting with mostly nonprofits these days, but still a few more socially minded corporate organizations. So I work with their leadership teams and boards to help with planning, with problems, with operational issues, with just ensuring that the best environment is existing inside their organizations. I love that work.
Mhm.
And the
Mm.
second basket would be because I do that work, I get asked to teach and speak quite often. So I have a teaching portfolio and speaking engagements on a fairly regular basis in different places around the world. And then my third basket is my passion projects. So that's what I like to do for myself and for individuals out in the world. So that includes doing a writer's retreat a couple of times a year that I host in different places and creating content around mindful leadership and doing short format workshops that are public. And I really
Mm.
enjoy seeing the individual impact. And sometimes people will come to that where they might not want to attend with their teammates to something. So I'm glad that I keep that basket open.
Wow, that's amazing. That's quite the variety of work. Sounds very exciting.
I love it. Works for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm excited to hear how like your spirituality plays into to all of that. So maybe maybe you could tell us about how your spiritual journey began, how you kind of got to where you are. Have there been any significant experiences and events? The answer to that is always yes, but
Oh, always, yes, always.
yeah.
Well, my grandmother, Bridget, in Newfoundland, when she passed away when I was just 8. But we had a very, very, very strong relationship, probably a relationship that had been in existence many times before. And I still feel very much guided by her sense of integrity and what was important for her. In that short time that we had together in this plane, she was able to really download to me a strong sense of self and had me feel very confident in what I was doing and who I was walking about this planet at that time, just as a small child. And so in her passing, I felt that I still was connected with her. And there's still times today where I might stop and think, well, what would Nan have done? And how would she have handled this? Now, she had a great deal of intuition, as had her mother and her grandmother. And that's as far back as I know. So now we're going back to Ireland. And in my particular experience in my life, my intuition really grew quite deeply in my 20s and into my 30s as I had some very strange and very large events happen in my life around my work. I had a marriage that ended. And sometimes these marker life events throw you into a place of a deeper comprehension and accelerate your intuition. And I felt at that time, when I came into about the age of 30, that there was a deeper sense of connection. And so it showed up in my 30s in the workplace. It showed up in things that I thought at one time, I just picture there was about 70, 80 of us in this particular office floor of a building in Toronto. And I just pictured by July, we're going to have like 7 women pregnant in this office. And
Oh.
by July, we had 7 women pregnant. It was
Mhm.
unbelievable to see that. And so then I began to sort of play with this intuition, play with premonition, and then be able to separate what was intuition and what was premonition. And because the work that I did was with people and the business side of things, so working in human resources, working in large scale change, working in mergers and acquisitions, that these times in people's lives and their employment are really fraught with high emotion.
Mhm.
And there's something about high emotion that allows you to deepen your intuition. And so in
Mhm.
those moments, I would get glimpses of just things that I thought would happen, and then they did.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. That gives you a new like sense of kind of confidence in where you're heading, I bet.
Mhm.
Beautiful. So tell me more about kind of how, your intuition and spiritual gifts kind of play a part in your daily life and
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
Um, Let me think. So, I mean, you just explained some of it, but are there any like specific examples maybe you can think of?
Well, I do remember my last work role inside an organization. I at that point was getting known for somebody who was able to talk with people and really see what was going on behind the scenes for them. Like really, really feel into it. I didn't think of it as intuition at the time, but I thought of it as just tough love or being able to call people on things or just ask them the questions, the willingness to ask them the questions that
Mm,
had them look into their soul or look into the source of their concerns and be straightforward with themselves. I had moved to a place in my career where I was very, very confident with what I was doing. I really enjoyed what I was doing. I was very good at it. I had a lot of education behind me. I had great results behind me. And I began to play with things that were a little bit obtuse and it worked out really, really well. I had um, a gong in my office that I use for high level meetings. We would, it was like the talking stick. I would use the gong. I had a crystal ball on my desk. I had Bessie, the HR witch, and she was like a little mascot about
mhm.
this high. And I used to take her to meetings, and she would cackle like when you turn the button on. She would cackle, and her feet would move. She had the army boots on, and lights would shoot out her eyes, and so people would say, well, what does HR think about this? And I'll say, well, let's see what Bessie thinks. And I would turn
Mhm.
her on and she'd be like, ha, 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 ha. And it just threw the room into a place
Yeah.
of laughter and, and really dispelled, the tension and the rigidity. And it allowed people to have fun and be with themselves. And I was in this place where I felt like I had nothing to lose. Like
Mm.
I thought, I'll work here, I'll work somewhere else. I know what I'm doing, I can do this. And so I had eventually a line of chairs outside my room, my office, and my team was saying, we jokingly we ought to put one of those deli counters or like ice cream number items
Oh, yeah.
outside. Yeah, because people were coming to sit and talk to the person who was actually
Yeah.
willing to speak truth. And it was interesting. And I remember the CIO, the head of tech for the company, took me out for lunch because he took people out for lunch every once in a while. He was very much like a fatherly kind of mentor person. And he took me out for lunch and then he said to me, uh, you're really strange. How are you getting away with this?
Mm.
And I said to him, I'm really good at what I do. And if you're going to be this strange, you better be good at what you do. Because if you're not really good at what you do, you're just strange.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But that
really
was my
resonate
that
with
was my
that.
last work before I headed out on my own, and now I can do that sort of thing and
Yeah.
bring Play-Doh or crayons or whatever is needed,
Yeah.
and I'm sought after for that type of relaxed and interesting way of approaching topics. Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate with that. I work in a government kind of setting and I do bring a lot of my me into it. And yeah, after a while, it just becomes accepted as part
Yeah,
of your practice. But you do have
exactly.
to kind of work your way there before you can have that freedom.
Yes, I have a friend who says to me, you got to keep some crazy in the jar.
Yeah,
Don't let it
definitely.
out all at once.
Yeah. So obviously your intuition plays a big part, but it sounds like also your ability to connect with others because it reminds me of like that quote. I can't remember who said it, but what is it? No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, something like that.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
lovely. Yes. Yes.
hmm That plays a
Yeah.
big role, I find, for
Yeah,
sure.
people do need to feel
Leadership.
that they're cared about, even in a very
hmm
businessy environment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, what kind of mindfulness and spiritual practices do you engage in, like on a regular basis? Do you have any rituals or routines that are important to you?
I absolutely do. I'm a big fan of a meditation, and that looks really different for different people. And because I have uh, a life where I travel quite a bit in my business, and I'm in businessy environments, as I had indicated,
hmm
sometimes it's just about dropping in to your centering for even just a moment. It doesn't have to be a legged cross, music playing, incense going, trying
Yeah.
to levitate kind of situation sometimes. Sometimes it can be waiting at the airport for your
Mhm.
plane or sitting in a meeting across from people and just kind of centering in and just really going into observation and really being aware of what is not being said, what else is in the room. It's meditation. So I think it comes, it comes in all its forms. And I do a workshop series that I haven't done for quite some time. Maybe it's time to bring it back. And it's called My Zen Moments. And it's a series
mm
of 12 different ways that you can meditate so that people can detach from this idea that there's one way or that they are going to fail or get it wrong. Because like the last thing that we need in life right now is like another thing to fail at, right?
Yeah.
And another thing to feel like, well, we're not, doing a great job. When I did my master's in consciousness studies, one of the things that I dug into in the form of a thesis or a field of study was the idea of gratitude and what
mm
gratitude does to the brain, how it actually alters the movement of focus and energy in the brain, in particular, writing. So the kinesthetic of gratitude journaling. and the
Mm.
combination of the two things, the two activities, and how it can really set about changing your mind, actually changing your mind from a neuroplasticity point of view. And so I will often do written exercises in the form of contemplation, even with really big groups. I remember a very corporate setting, a large group of about 120 people at a hotel banquet hall, conference hall in 2000 and I'm going to say 2017. And to open, because there was a lot of static in the room, like there was a lot of energy, a lot of worry, a lot of concern, a lot going on. So I actually had people settle into the room in a contemplation. And I walked through the room in absolute quiet, and they had a document, and I had them write down their ideas and their feelings and thoughts about these different elements on the page so that they could get all of that worry, concern, and everything out and
Mm.
onto the page, and then we worked with it. So we didn't deny it, but we didn't let it kind of tick off like a train or 120 trains in the
Yeah.
room and derail the whole day and everything that needed to come out of there. So contemplation, I usually try to work in even the most business like environments.
Mhm.
There's a place for that. So I would say those are my go-tos, though there isn't much I wouldn't try.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of gratitude journaling, do you have a gratitude journal?
I do
I think I
actually.
saw, yeah.
Yes, you may have seen it online. In 2008, when I left my corporate role and went into my business, it was a challenging time in the world financially in North America. And I thought to myself, first of all, what have I done? But then going from this high paying, very seemingly secure role into going out into the world of entrepreneurship. And what worked for me was going to gratitude. Well, first remembering I'm from Newfoundland and we're resilient and all of that. And then I thought, my grandmother said, what would work for me? And I went to gratitude practice. And that began 100 days of me going around and touching everything in my house and every act, brushing my teeth, being thankful for the toothbrush, thankful that I could buy toothpaste, thankful that I had teeth, right
Yeah.
down to thankful for the water, just every detail. And that started something called the Gratitude for Joyful Living series. So I created the journal, and then I created a meditations book to go with the journal, and then a workbook. And I had them published at the time, 2009 and 10. And about a year ago, I actually pulled them from publishing and decided to republish them myself as these beautiful books that had more than just black type word on a white page. So as I'm producing them and putting them back out into the world, they are beautiful to work with. And the gratitude journal is already out there. It's available on Amazon in any country in the world you can purchase it.
Awesome. Exciting. I'll have to make sure everyone has access to that link. And let's see. What would you say maybe is the biggest challenge you've kind of faced on your spiritual journey or just, throughout life in general?
Apart from the being strange, which if you're confident enough and you know your stuff, that goes away pretty quickly if you can stand in it. You have to be able to stand in it and not
Yeah.
hesitate, and you have to be able to wear what happens, right? I would say, other than being strange and then moving past that, not being believed is interesting
Mm.
because people are scared of what they don't know and even more scared of what they don't understand. And if
Mhm.
you come forward with relative equanimity, like you're not trying to prove anything and you don't have an axe to grind, and you just are neutrally saying what's needed to be said in the room, showing up in what way is needed, and confidently talking about the things that you observe. Or I would probably call my intuition and premonition ability in the workplace these days, often I call it contingency thinking, where it's just
Mm.
imagining if we do this, go out 2 steps and 3 steps and 12 steps and just imagine how that could go. And that actually helps people develop or hone their intuition because they imagine the way that things are going to go just from an unattached place. So no anxiety with it and no attachment to specifics sometimes of the outcomes, unless they happen to
Mm,
come up intuitively. And
mm,
so you have to be willing, and I've had to be willing to not be believed. And for
yes.
people to even make fun of you for that for a moment.
Hmm.
And then you just let it all unfold.
Hmm.
I remember saying something to my partner about someone that I had met out socially, and I told him something really specific about that person's background. And he said, no, no, that's not even possible. I've known this person my whole life. And then I said, okay, well, I'm just passing along what I got. And then
Yeah.
about almost a year later, I was coming back from a trip and he picked me up at the airport and he says, you are not going to believe what happened. I said, try me. And he told
Hmm.
me about this story that had gotten revealed that nobody knew,
Hmm.
but it was the specifics of what I had told him a year ago. I know that's in life, but that kind of experience when you're working with mergers and acquisitions and imagining, partnering or um, mediating in organizations, and you can feel and sense where things are going to go, and you can feel and sense what the motivations are for people and how things might turn out if we go down this path or this path or this path. It just looks like contingency thinking, but people who work in it like I do are really trying on this combination of lived experience and intuition to be able to bring a logic and a probability to the conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's fascinating. So obviously you teach and share your spiritual knowledge with others. Maybe you could tell us about what you have coming up, your offerings, anything any ways
Oh,
people can connect with you and what you do.
sure, absolutely. There's always things cooking. People
Hmm.
can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn under my name. And I have a website that I've also put under soniabyrne.com, a mindfulleadershipforsuccess.com. There's a few roads that will get you there, but even if you just type in my name, you will easily find me. Apart from the book that I have out right now, the Gratitude for Joyful Living series, that journal, the meditations book is coming out this spring, followed by the workbook, and those are reissues. I also have two 21-day self-paced experiences. One of them is gratitude, and you can sign up on my website for those. The second one is coffee and contemplation because I love my coffee.
Hmm.
And it's about just taking a short period of time for gratitude or coffee, or gratitude about your
Wow.
coffee in the
Yeah.
morning or any time of the day, but it's ideally designed for setting your day off to a good pattern. And it's a beautiful experience. For 21 days, you received items that help you prepare for your day and help you think about your day in a positive way and help you move through challenging moments. And those are only $29. So they're something that I put out that is quite accessible and people can do it at their own pace. I also have beginning March 1st on Facebook and LinkedIn. I have a mindfulness and mindful moments 21-day series. So I just will post each day a beautiful graphic with some thoughtful prompts in there. And that's just free. People can just access it on either LinkedIn or on Facebook. And I have a wonderful in-person event. So in-person events have been going so well. And I have an in-person event in St. John's. We are back and getting together, and it feels so good to be in the energy of people. We have a beautiful space down at Sassy Tuna Art and Tech Studio, and that's down on Water Street. And April 17th, 18th, and 19th, I'm joined by Katie Hussey, who is an aromatherapy practitioner. And this is our second time facilitating a retreat. We did a fall equinox. Now we're doing a spring retreat called Fresh Perspectives. And don't we just need a fresh perspective about what the heck's going on in the
Yeah.
world and in our worlds, in our individual worlds and the greater world right now? So
Yeah.
we're creating this beautiful space for people to come. No overnights required. It's a Friday night, a Saturday day, and a Sunday day. And
Hmm.
so we have some beautiful movement and contemplation, a few exercise to help us get at a fresh perspective. and a wonderful aroma reset that Katie facilitates. Actually, I'm happy to, for your group, to offer anybody who is watching this and would like to come $100 off. It's $279, so that would make it $179. And if you just connect with me on any of my handles and let me know that you saw this podcast, we're happy to offer you that $100 off up until, let's say, March 15th. If anyone would
Beautiful.
like to come, it's such a beautiful experience to sort of check out for a weekend and regroup and be around like-minded people and just have an easeful experience in the midst of everything that's going on around us.
Amazing. So generous of you. Beautiful. Let's see. What advice maybe would you give to someone who's just starting their, spirituality or wellness journey, or maybe they're restarting it after
Mhm,
carried away? That happens.
mhm, mhm. The best advice would be to keep going. Like we sometimes hesitate or hide our gifts. And
Mm,
so recognizing that not every group, not every person can handle our gifts,
mhm,
and that's okay. Like
mhm,
we need to calibrate that and recalibrate that for the environments that we're in and the people that we're with.
mhm.
And so because of that, just because we get a strange reaction from somebody or too much, that kind of thing, that doesn't mean we need to take the show and just close it all up.
Mm,
That can be a signal to us that perhaps this person needs to be handled in one way and a different person can handle more or less. And so just knowing that we can calibrate our energy but to not take it and hide it. Because when we go to hide our natural gifts, they start to squish out sideways. Like they will find their way out anyways, and they want to be heard, like knock, knock. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm here. Uh, so it's not a one size fits all world. And it's kind of like a joke or advice. You wouldn't just be giving it to the same thing to the person in the supermarket lineup as you would be giving to, a friend of 20 years. It's
Yeah.
just different. So that's okay. Just calibrate and play with things. And if you've been hiding it, take it out and dust it off and try it out a little bit and see what each of your audiences want to hear from you.
Nice. I'm gonna ask maybe like what's a insight or lesson that's been most valuable to you. But before I ask that, I'm just curious about conscious leadership because it's something that I'm interested in
Ah,
personally.
okay, okay.
Um, what would you say like right now in these times, what's maybe the most important for people in leadership positions to be focusing on?
What's most important for people in leadership positions is compassionate regulation. How's that for
Mm,
a term? But they need to balance being able to be compassionate to themselves and also to people around them because people are going through a lot and we don't often know. If you spend 10 minutes with a person and really have a conversation, you're usually really surprised by how much people are handling or holding. Like the weight that people are carrying is significant and it's different for everybody. And
mm,
so what one person thinks is a really dire circumstance, another person's like, yeah, that's so 2 out of 10. I got other stuff going on. And it's not a competition. The struggle is real. So for each person, they are in a challenging place. And so leaders have the role too, though, of motivating and role modeling. And so I say compassionate regulation because we need to regulate how much we also give of ourselves
mhm,
because compassion fatigue is a thing. It is out there. I speak about it quite a bit. I see it in boards and teams and leaders and volunteer groups where people just don't have as much to give as they used to give. So leaders need to not have the same expectations as 10 years ago, but at the same time, with reorganizing expectations, more people might be willing to come forward if the boundaries were softened a bit for them, or the expectations were shorter in time limit, then I think that more people would show up. As leaders, the need to be role models also can be heavy.
Mm,
And so knowing how to regulate what it is that you're giving and how much you're giving out and how much you give to everybody and who you give what to is something that people have to be really conscious of, that they maybe didn't have to be conscious of 10 years ago. It just is, it's different. There's so much coming at people.
yeah, yeah. Good advice. Thank you. And maybe just in closing, like any insights or lessons that have been really valuable to you that you haven't already shared, because I know you've
Hmm.
shared so much already, which
Sure.
I'm grateful for.
Yes. I think one of the lessons maybe I didn't touch on is that when you have comfort and confidence in your gifts of intuition, it can be very disarming to people. And
Mhm,
it can actually also touch on their stuff. So if they have insecurities or if they're constantly measuring themselves against other people and this person comes along and they don't even engage in the measurement, that's very confusing because there's a whole measuring stick out there, right? That people are using. And if you just don't even go there and you just show
mhm,
up as you are and give what you give and be very authentic and genuine and stay in integrity about the way that you behave, then people can't push against that. There's nothing to push against. So sometimes when
mhm.
people are in their own story of one-upmanship or crabs in a bucket or scarcity or competition or any of those things that are, psychological constructs that groups can jump into together in a group think scenario. But if you don't believe it and you're around a group and you don't practice that and you don't live that way, then you may have people who don't like you or if I was speaking woo-hoo, I may say send bad energy your way.
Mhm.
They're threatened by you is the bottom line. And so um, I think a piece of advice that I can pass along is that used to take me down and I wanted to be liked earlier in my life and early in my career. And then since I can feel it and stop and now with awareness go into what is that about for them and what's going on
Mhm.
for them. I can understand what's happening, below the surface and behind the scenes for them. And maybe they're acting from insecurity, or maybe they're acting from fear, or maybe they believe there's competition or scarcity or something like that. I'm going to take
Yeah.
something from them, or I'm strange or act differently, and they need everything to be the same because strange is scary, different is scary. Uh, relaxed and comfortable rather than tense is unusual in the world,
Mm.
perhaps for them in their circle. So know that we're going to probably touch on people's stuff. And you can get to a place in your own spiritual maturity where you can realize, okay, what do I own in this
Yeah.
and what's not mine and what's going on for that person. And you don't have to call them on it, but even just knowing what's likely going
Mhm.
on for that person can really change the way that you behave yourself around them and that you behave with them. And if you're the person who can see it and they can't see it, then it's up to you to have compassion for it too. And that doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to let people away with things, but to
Right.
just quietly know, and
Yes.
that's good
Yeah.
enough sometimes.
Yeah, you can have compassion. Sometimes you might have to remove yourself from it if
That's a compassionate act, a self-compassionate act.
absolutely. Yeah, I love that. That describes much of my experience so, so well. And once you get to that awareness, that's very, very impactful, like on your personal experience and just your
Absolutely.
day-to-day wellness.
Yeah, it frees up a lot of tension and energy that would be used in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. I'm just checking now. I don't think I had any more questions, but were there any other thoughts or topics or
Oh, it's been
things that you
absolutely
wanted to
lovely
bring
to
up?
spend this time with you. You've
Yes,
had me
likewise.
think deeply about some things I haven't really thought about for some time. So this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
I do that sometimes. That's kind of who I am.
Well,
But
that's
yes,
okay.
I very much appreciate it. I'm very grateful that we're able to connect and we could work out a time. And where are you in the world right now? Are you in St. John's right now?
No, I'm actually on the
No.
West Coast with
Oh,
clients. So
nice.
yeah, it's a little early for me, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad
this
you
is
could
just
join.
part of the life. I'm okay to not be with eight
Love
feet
the
of snow
lifestyle.
today. That's okay though.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. I'll see it soon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and I'll make sure everyone has your links and everything so they can connect with you. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Till next
Thank
time.
you.
Mhm.